You have been taught to fear the wrong people, the loudest voice, the most aggressive presence, the person who dominates every conversation. These are not the dangerous ones. The person you should fear is the one who says nothing, the one who watches, the one who listens while everyone else performs. Silence is not weakness. Silence is a weapon. And once you understand why, you will never speak carelessly again. You walk into a meeting, a debate, a family gathering. Immediately certain people fill the room with noise. They interrupt. They pontificate. They demand attention like oxygen. And you, if you are intelligent, feel the pressure to compete, to assert yourself, to prove you belong in the conversation. So you speak, you contribute, you reveal your position, your knowledge, your strategy. And while you are busy performing, there is someone in the corner, quiet, still, watching. You barely notice them, but they notice everything. They see who interrupts whom. They see who defers. They see the power dynamics, the insecurities, the alliances forming in real time. And when the meeting ends, you walk away feeling like you held your own. But that quiet person, they walk away with a complete psychological map of everyone in the room, including you. You gave them intelligence. They gave you nothing. Who won? The modern world worships noise. Social media rewards the loudest opinion. Corporate culture promotes the most charismatic speaker. Society tells you that influence requires visibility. This is a lie. The ancient strategists knew better. Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War, "Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night. And when you move, fall like a thunderbolt." Darkness, impenetrability, silence. He understood that the moment you speak, you give your enemy data. You reveal your thinking, your values, your weaknesses. Every word you say is a thread your opponent can pull. The quiet person refuses to hand over the thread. Silence is not the absence of power. Silence is the refusal to spend power carelessly. Think about poker. The worst players are the ones who react visibly to every hand. They smile when they have aces. They frown when they have garbage. The professionals? Stone-faced, unreadable, silent. Your life is no different. Every conversation is a negotiation. Every social interaction is a subtle battle for status and leverage. The person who talks the most loses the most. Why does silence create power? Because human beings are neurologically wired to fill voids. When you remain quiet, you create a vacuum. And the other person, unable to tolerate the discomfort, will rush to fill it. They will over-explain. They will reveal more than they intended. They will project their insecurities onto your silence and assume you are judging them, which you are. But they don't know how you are judging them. And that uncertainty is terrifying. Psychologist Robert Cialdini identified this as the principle of scarcity. When something is rare, it becomes valuable. Your words are no exception. If you speak constantly, your opinions become noise. But if you speak rarely, every word you say carries weight. People lean in. They remember. Silence also triggers a phenomenon called the spotlight effect. When you are quiet in a group, people assume you are observing them specifically. They become self-conscious. They perform for your approval. You are not doing anything. You are simply not doing something. And yet you have flipped the entire power dynamic. Look at the psychological research on interrogation. The most effective interrogators are not the ones who shout and threaten. They are the ones who sit in silence and let the suspect's own anxiety do the work. Silence is pressure. It is a void that the guilty rush to fill with confession. You do not need to be an interrogator to use this. Stay quiet in a negotiation. Watch the other person panic and offer concessions you never asked for. Stay quiet when someone insults you. Watch them grow uncomfortable and backpedal, wondering why you are not reacting. Stay quiet when someone asks your opinion on a volatile topic. Watch them reveal their agenda while you reveal nothing. You become a mirror. They see only themselves. And most people, when forced to confront their own reflection, do not like what they see. History is filled with silent killers. Let me tell you about Calvin Coolidge, the 30th President of the United States. He was nicknamed Silent Cal. In a world of bombastic politicians, Coolidge barely spoke. At dinner parties, he would sit through entire meals without saying a word. A famous story, a woman sitting next to him at a banquet bet. Her friends, she could get him. to say more than 2 words. She leaned over and said, "Mr. President, I made a bet that I could get you to say more than 2 words tonight." Coolidge looked at her and said, "You lose." That was it. People mocked him. They called him awkward, boring, weak. But Coolidge understood something most politicians did not. Every word a politician says can be used against them. Every promise is a future liability. Every opinion is a potential scandal. So Coolidge said almost nothing. He let his opponents exhaust themselves with speeches and debates. And while they were busy talking, he was busy governing. He became one of the most effective presidents in American history. Not because he spoke well, but because he didn't speak at all unless it mattered. Now let's go darker. Sima Yi, the Chinese military strategist I mentioned earlier, understood that silence could be a form of camouflage. When his enemy Cao Shuang held all the political power, Sima Yi did not protest. He did not argue. He did not make speeches about justice. He pretended to be a harmless, senile old man. He stayed quiet. He stayed invisible. And while Cao Shuang celebrated his dominance, Sima Yi was silently positioning his pieces. The moment Cao Shuang left the capital, Sima Yi struck. Instant coup. Total victory. Silence allowed him to be underestimated. And underestimation is the assassin's greatest advantage. You might be thinking, but if I stay silent, people will think I'm weak. They will think I have nothing to say. Good. Let them think that. Letting people underestimate you is not a loss. It is a strategic gift. When they believe you are weak, they lower their guard. They speak freely around you. They ignore you in their calculations. And then, when it matters, you move. And they never saw it coming. You are afraid of being perceived as boring, as irrelevant. That fears your ego talking. And your ego is a liability. Schopenhauer wrote, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. If he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom. For it is only when he's alone that he is really free." The same applies to silence. If you cannot tolerate being quiet, you are not free. You are enslaved to the need for validation. The loud person is performing. The quiet person is observing. The loud person is spending energy. The quiet person is collecting information. Who do you want to be? But let's be clear, silence is not the same as passivity. You are not staying quiet because you are afraid to speak. You are staying quiet because you choose when to speak. There is a massive difference. The passive person is silent out of fear. The dangerous person is silent out of strategy. When you do speak, it should be, deliberate. You know exactly why you are speaking. Calculated. You have assessed the cost and benefit. Impactful. Your words change the dynamic. They don't just add to the noise. Silence gives your words scarcity, and scarcity creates value. So how do you weaponize silence in your own life? In conversations, stop filling awkward pauses. Let the silence sit. Watch the other person scramble to fill it. They will reveal far more than they intended. In negotiations, make your offer, then shut up. The first person to speak loses. In conflict, when someone insults you or tries to provoke you, say nothing. Just stare. The absence of reaction will unsettle them far more than any comeback. In meetings, let everyone else pitch their ideas first. Stay quiet, listen. Then when you finally speak, synthesize everything into a single, devastatingly clear point. You will be remembered as the smartest person in the room. On social media, stop announcing every thought. Stop posting every opinion. The less you say, the more curious people become about you. Silence creates mystery, and mystery creates fascination. But here is the deeper lesson. Silence is not just a tactic. It is a filter. When you stop talking, you start noticing who actually listens. You start noticing who respects the space you create versus who rushes to dominate it. You start noticing who is comfortable with depth versus who is addicted to noise. The people who cannot handle your silence are the people you do not need in your life. Silence reveals character, theirs and yours. If you cannot sit in a room and be quiet, you are not comfortable with yourself. You are using noise to escape your own mind. The truly dangerous person is the one who has made peace with the void. They do not need applause. They do not need validation. They do not need to hear themselves speak. They are complete, self-contained, unreadable, and that is terrifying to everyone else. You have been conditioned to believe that power is loud, That influence requires a stage. That respect comes from being seen and heard. This is the delusion of the masses.
Real power whispers.
Real influence moves in shadows. Real respect is earned in silence. The loudest person in the room is easy to predict, easy to manipulate, easy to forget. But the quiet one? They are the one everyone underestimates, until it is too late. They are the one who sees everything while revealing nothing. They are the one who strikes when no one is watching. You do not need to announce your intelligence. You do not need to prove your worth in every conversation. Let the fools perform. Let them exhaust themselves seeking approval. You stay silent.
You stay sharp.
You stay dangerous. Because in a world full of noise, silence is the sharpest blade. And the people who fear it the most are the ones who have the most to hide. Stop talking. Start watching. And when you finally do speak, make sure it is the last word anyone forgets.